Kayla stood in the cold metallic corridor of the starship, her eyes scanning the endless stretch of steel walls. The hum of the ship's engines vibrated through the floor, a constant reminder that she was far from her home planet. Her people had always warned her about humans, reckless, unpredictable, dangerous. And now she was trapped on a human vessel, forced to rely on one of them for survival. The thought made her chest tighten with dread. The human assigned to her care, a soldier named Eli, walked down the corridor with measured steps. His uniform was clean, his posture upright, and his face calm, almost serene. Kayla had expected a brash, careless human, someone who would mock her alien ways or treat her like a curiosity. But Eli was different. He didn't glare at her, didn't make jokes at her expense, and most importantly, he didn't try to control her. She didn't trust him. Not yet. The first days aboard the ship were tense. Kayla kept her distance, moving silently through the corridors, observing Eli only from afar. He seemed unbothered by her presence, focused on his duties and the smooth operation of the vessel. During briefings, he listened patiently, never interrupting, never showing impatience with her questions about the ship's systems. This quiet patience irritated her at first. How could a human be so disciplined? Their first mission together came sooner than she expected. A routine supply transport had gone missing on a nearby asteroid, and Kayla, along with Eli and a small team, was sent to investigate. The asteroid's surface was jagged and uneven, covered in sharp crystalline formations that glowed faintly in the dim light of the distant star. Kayla's instincts screamed danger, but Eli's calm presence reminded her to slow her pace, to observe before acting. They reached the transport wreckage, and Kayla's eyes immediately went to the damage. The hull had been torn apart, and alien creatures known to prey on travelers had left marks along the edges. She had dealt with many predators before, but she noticed Eli's approach was different. He didn't rush in recklessly. He assessed the terrain, noted possible ambush points, and guided her to cover. "Stay low," he said quietly, pointing to a shadowed ridge. His voice carried no command, only suggestion. Kayla hesitated but followed. His movements were precise, yet there was an ease to them that reminded her of her own training. When the predators appeared, their multi-limbed bodies slinking from the shadows, Kayla expected Eli to falter or make a mistake. But he didn't. With calculated efficiency, he disabled the creature's energy disruptors, giving her the opening she needed to take them down. Together, they cleared the area, and Kayla realized she had never felt such a coordinated sense of partnership with a human before. That night, as they returned to the ship, Kayla found herself observing him in a new light. He ate simply, cleaned his equipment meticulously, and even paused to check on the ship's systems without being asked. There was a quiet integrity to him, a sense that he took responsibility for everything he did. Kayla had been taught to distrust humans, yet she couldn't deny the impression this one had made. Days turned into weeks, and the missions grew more dangerous. Pirates on a distant space route, rogue AI drones on abandoned colonies, environmental hazards on uncharted planets, all tested their skills and endurance. With each challenge, Kayla's initial fear began to change. She noticed how Eli adapted to each situation, how he learned quickly from mistakes without blaming others, and how he always prioritized the safety of his team. One evening, the ship docked at a neutral station for supplies. Kayla wandered the corridors alone, reflecting on the strange bond forming between herself and the human. She had never experienced such cooperation with another being, even within her own people. Warriors were often competitive, guarded, and unwilling to trust outsiders. Yet Eli's presence was different. He didn't demand trust. He earned it through action, patience, and respect. Kayla's thoughts were interrupted by a call from Eli. "Kayla, are you coming to the briefing room?" His voice was calm, polite, and there was no hint of impatience. She nodded silently and followed. The briefing room was crowded with humans and other alien representatives. Eli's eyes met hers briefly, and he offered a small nod, a gesture of acknowledgement that didn't demand a response. Kayla found herself returning the nod instinctively. The briefing discussed a reconnaissance mission on a planet with unstable weather patterns. Kayla's people had valuable intelligence stored there, and they could not afford to lose it. Eli outlined the plan clearly, ensuring everyone understood their roles. Kayla noted how he anticipated potential dangers and considered the strengths of each team member. His strategy was precise yet flexible, and it reminded her of her own training as a warrior. During the mission, the planet's storms turned violent. Winds ripped through the landscape, making footing treacherous. Kyla struggled to maintain balance on a steep cliff, but Eli reached out, steadying her with a firm yet careful grip. "You're okay," he said. The simplicity of his words, combined with his genuine concern, struck her. She had expected humans to be harsh, cold, or overconfident, but Eli was none of these things. They navigated through the storm together, covering each other's weaknesses. Kayla realized that her dread of humans had been based on assumptions, stories, and fear of the unknown. Eli had shown her that bravery and intelligence were not limited to her species. Humans could be allies, and in this case, a vital one. After the mission, as they returned to the ship, Kayla remained quiet for a long time. She watched Eli secure equipment and check the ship's systems with meticulous care. There was something comforting in his focus, something that made her feel less isolated in this vast galaxy. She had expected to feel trapped and resentful, but instead, she felt a flicker of respect and perhaps the beginnings of trust. Late that night, Kayla wandered the observation deck alone, staring out at the endless expanse of stars. The silence of space was familiar, yet different aboard a human ship. She reflected on her time with Eli, the missions they had completed, and the moments when his quick thinking had saved her life. Her initial dread seemed almost foolish now, replaced by curiosity. She wondered what else she could learn from him, how humans thought, and how one individual could challenge everything she had believed. Eli appeared beside her quietly. "You're thinking a lot," he said, not as a question but as an observation. Kayla looked at him and said nothing, unsure if she could put her thoughts into words. He smiled faintly, offering no further comment, only his presence. In that silence, Kayla felt something she had never expected, a sense of partnership. For the first time since leaving her home, Kayla did not feel completely alone. The human soldier beside her was calm, reliable, and capable, yet he did not overshadow her or diminish her abilities. He complimented her, challenged her assumptions, and respected her independence. Kayla, the proud warrior who had once feared humans above all else, realized that she was beginning to see things differently. As the ship continued its journey through the stars, Kayla kept watch alongside Eli. She no longer approached him with dread or suspicion. Instead, she observed with a mix of caution and curiosity, ready to see what this human was truly capable of. And deep inside, she knew that this was only the beginning of a partnership that could change not only her life, but perhaps the future of her people and humans alike. The stars stretched endlessly before them, and for the first time, Kayla felt a sense of hope. She had met a human who earned her trust, who proved that courage, intelligence, and honor were not limited by species. And though she had once dreaded letting a human influence her, she now understood that perhaps some humans were worth far more than she had ever imagined. The next mission began before Kayla had fully adjusted to the strange rhythm of life aboard the human ship. This time they were sent to a remote planet on the edge of the Andari sector. Reports indicated that rogue drones had taken over an abandoned research station, and both human and alien technologies were at risk. Kayla had faced threats before, but something about this mission felt different. Eli approached her as the crew prepared for departure. "We'll need to move carefully," he said, his voice calm but firm. Kayla studied him for a moment. His eyes held the same quiet determination she had noticed before, but now there was something more, an unspoken trust between them. She nodded slightly. She didn't need to say she agreed. He already understood. The shuttle landed with a soft hum on the planet's surface. The air was thin and crisp, carrying the faint metallic scent of the abandoned station. Jagged rock formations surrounded them, casting long shadows in the dim light of the twin suns. Kayla adjusted her armor and checked her weapon. She could feel the tension in her chest, the same tension that had made her dread humans in the past. But Eli's presence beside her eased it. They moved in formation, Kayla leading, Eli just behind, scanning their surroundings. The station loomed ahead, partially destroyed by previous skirmishes. Broken walls and flickering lights hinted at danger, yet Kayla felt an unusual calm. She had faced many threats alone or with her own people, but never with a human who inspired this level of quiet confidence. Inside, the station was eerily silent. Dust floated in the air, illuminated by the occasional flicker of emergency lights. Kayla's instincts were on high alert, noting every creak, every shadow. Then the drones attacked, swift, mechanical, and relentless. Kayla expected chaos, but Eli reacted quickly. He moved beside her, blocking a drone's laser with a precise swipe of his weapon. "Watch the left corridor," he called, and Kayla adjusted instantly. Together, they fought with a synchronicity that surprised even her. His movements complemented hers, covering her blind spots and anticipating the drone's attacks. Kayla had never experienced this kind of partnership before. When the last drone fell, Kayla exhaled, her heart still racing. She glanced at Eli, who wiped dust from his armor, completely composed. "Are you okay?" he asked. Kayla realized she was smiling, a small but genuine smile. "Yes," she replied. "Thanks to you." Eli nodded but said nothing more, as if their teamwork spoke louder than words. Kayla felt a flicker of something new, gratitude mixed with admiration. This human soldier was proving that her fear of humans had been misplaced. He wasn't reckless or careless. He was cautious, intelligent, and most importantly, dependable. They continued through the station, searching for data cores and important research. Kayla noted that Eli never hesitated to follow her lead, yet he offered suggestions when necessary. "That vent might lead directly to the main chamber," he said quietly. Kayla considered it, realizing he had been analyzing the structure while she focused on threats. She gave a brief nod, trusting his judgment. As they approached the main chamber, a sudden tremor shook the station. Dust rained from the ceiling, and Kayla barely caught herself before slipping. Eli grabbed her arm without hesitation. "Careful," he said, steadying her. The gesture was simple, yet it carried weight. Kayla felt a strange warmth, a sense of connection she had never felt with another being, human or alien. Inside the chamber, the rogue drones had gathered near the central console. Kayla moved to attack, but Eli stopped her with a hand on her shoulder. "We should flank them together," he suggested. Kayla hesitated, then nodded. Trusting a human to coordinate with her in the heat of battle felt risky, yet she couldn't deny the logic in his words. They split, moving silently along opposite sides of the room. When Kayla attacked, Eli covered her flank flawlessly. They disabled the drones quickly, working as a seamless unit. Kayla realized that her fear of humans had blinded her to their potential. This one human, Eli, was more than capable. He had not only saved her life multiple times, but had also taught her that humans could be allies, even equals. After securing the station, Kayla and Eli began the process of downloading the research data. The ship's systems were delicate, and any mistake could trigger a self-destruct sequence. Kayla watched Eli's hands move over the controls with care and precision. His focus reminded her of her own training as a warrior, calm, deliberate, and unwavering under pressure. Hours passed as they worked. During that time, Kayla found herself talking more than she expected. She spoke of her people, their customs, and their history. She shared memories of her homeworld, the vast forests and towering mountains she had loved as a child. Eli listened, genuinely interested, asking questions with patience and respect. For the first time, Kayla felt that humans could understand, even appreciate, her culture. When the data transfer completed successfully, a sense of relief washed over her. She looked at Eli and realized how much she had come to rely on him, not just for protection but for guidance, support, and even understanding. Her dread of letting a human influence her life had begun to shift. She still carried caution, but it was now tempered with curiosity and a growing sense of respect. As they prepared to leave the station, a sudden alarm blared. An unexpected drone patrol had arrived, attracted by the noise of their work. Kayla tensed, ready for combat. Eli moved beside her immediately. "We'll exit through the maintenance tunnels," he said, scanning the area. Kayla followed, trusting his instincts completely. The tunnels were narrow, dark, and winding. Kayla's keen vision adjusted quickly, but she relied on Eli's guidance to navigate safely. Every turn, every shadow, they moved as a unit. When a drone blocked their path, Eli acted without hesitation, disabling it efficiently. Kayla realized that she had never fought alongside anyone with such coordination, not even her own people. Finally, they reached the shuttle bay. Kayla's heart still raced, but she felt a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction. Eli looked at her and offered a small smile. "We made it," he said simply. Kayla nodded, and for a moment words weren't necessary. The experience had forged a silent bond between them, a trust born not of obligation, but of shared challenges and mutual respect. Back aboard the ship, as the shuttle lifted off from the planet, Kayla found herself reflecting on everything that had happened. She had faced danger, relied on a human, and survived. More than that, she had learned something about humans that she had never believed possible. They could be brave, intelligent, and honorable. Eli had challenged every assumption she had carried since childhood, and she found herself questioning the stories her people had told her. Later, Kayla stood once more on the observation deck, staring out at the stars. Eli joined her quietly, not speaking but simply sharing the view. She felt a strange sense of peace. The galaxy was vast, unpredictable, and dangerous, yet she no longer felt completely alone. With Eli, she had found not only an ally, but perhaps the beginning of something deeper, a partnership built on trust, respect, and understanding. She remembered the first days aboard the ship, when she had recoiled at the thought of any human near her. Now she realized how wrong she had been. Fear had clouded her judgment, but experience had taught her that individuals could rise above expectations. Eli was not reckless, careless, or dangerous. He was dependable, capable, and in ways she could not yet fully understand, important to her. As the ship sailed on through the stars, Kayla and Eli continued their missions, facing new threats and challenges. With each passing day, Kayla's dread of humans diminished, replaced by cautious curiosity and respect. She was beginning to understand that humans, when guided by courage and integrity, could be extraordinary partners, even for an alien warrior who had once believed herself alone in the galaxy. The bond between Kayla and Eli was no longer just about survival. It was about trust, understanding, and the realization that differences in species did not mean one was superior or inferior. They complemented each other, shared knowledge, and faced danger together. Kayla began to feel a growing admiration for the human soldier, though she did not yet fully understand the depth of it. As the ship glided silently through space, the stars stretched endlessly before them, promising new challenges and discoveries. Kayla knew that the universe was vast and full of dangers, but she no longer faced it with dread. With Eli beside her, she felt ready for anything, ready to face the unknown, ready to trust, and perhaps ready to open her heart to possibilities she had never imagined. The human soldier, calm and steady, had changed everything. Kayla's fear of humans had been replaced by recognition of their potential, and more importantly, the understanding that courage, intelligence, and honor could transcend species. This mission had not only tested their skills, it had begun to forge a connection that neither of them could ignore. And as Kayla looked at Eli, she realized something profound. Her journey with humans had only just begun, and perhaps this one human soldier would teach her more than she had ever expected about trust, partnership, and the strength of the human spirit. The ship's alarms blared in the middle of the night, jolting Kayla awake. Red lights flashed across the metallic walls, casting long, sharp shadows. Eli was already moving, calm yet urgent, his voice cutting through the chaos. Everyone to battle stations. Unknown ships approaching fast. Kayla's heart raced. She had faced threats before, but nothing like this. Outside the viewport, enemy vessels had surrounded them, sleek and heavily armed, their intent clear: capture or destroy. Kayla felt a surge of adrenaline. Her instincts screamed to fight, but Eli's calm presence reminded her to focus. The crew scrambled, and Kayla found herself side by side with Eli at the tactical station. His fingers moved swiftly over the controls, issuing commands with precision. "Shields at maximum. Prepare evasive maneuvers," he ordered, his tone steady. Kayla followed, coordinating the ship's defensive systems as he instructed. For the first time, she realized the true extent of his skill, not only as a soldier but as a strategist. Enemy fire struck the ship, sending tremors through the corridors. Kayla grabbed onto a support rail, her armor rattling with each impact. She glanced at Eli, who remained composed, eyes locked on the approaching ships. His calm confidence was contagious, and she felt her own fear begin to subside. She had trained as a warrior her entire life, but now she was learning from a human how to stay centered amidst chaos. The first boarding party breached the hull. Alien attackers poured through the airlock, weapons raised. Kayla leapt into action, her combat instincts kicking in. Eli was immediately at her side, covering her flank, moving with a fluidity that mirrored her own. They fought as a unit, anticipating each other's moves. Kayla realized that this human soldier had not only earned her trust, but had become essential to her survival. They pushed the attackers back, clearing corridor after corridor. Kayla marveled at Eli's efficiency, how he neutralized threats without unnecessary force. how he communicated silently through gestures when words would have been too slow. They moved like dancers in perfect sync, each anticipating the other. When a powerful enemy drone blocked their path, Kayla prepared to strike, but Eli held up a hand. "Wait, I have an idea." He swiftly analyzed the drone's movement patterns and directed her to strike at a weak point he had identified. Kayla followed, and together they disabled the machine. She couldn't help but respect his ability to adapt quickly and think under pressure. As they progressed through the ship, the battle grew more intense. Another group of attackers cornered them in a narrow passage. Kayla tensed, ready for combat, but Eli calmly assessed the situation. "Use the environment," he said, pointing to a series of energy conduits above them. Kayla hesitated, then understood. With precise timing, they triggered the conduits, creating a controlled energy surge that forced the attackers to retreat. After the confrontation, they found a moment to catch their breath in a small maintenance bay. Kayla's chest heaved, her hands shaking slightly. Eli handed her a small energy pack. "You're okay," he said softly. She nodded, feeling a warmth she hadn't expected. This human had saved her life multiple times now, not just with skill, but with foresight and calm determination. The battle was far from over. More enemy forces had boarded the ship, and the crew was spread thin. Kayla and Eli moved through the corridors, coordinating defenses and assisting injured crew members. Each moment of danger only strengthened Kayla's realization. This human soldier was exceptional, far beyond the reckless reputation humans sometimes carried. They reached the bridge, where the ship's captain was struggling to manage the chaos. Eli immediately took command, issuing rapid orders to stabilize the vessel and repel the attackers. Kayla watched, amazed at his ability to remain composed while making critical decisions. She realized that trust was no longer optional. It was necessary. She had to rely on him, and she did so willingly. As the battle raged, a massive explosion rocked the ship. Kayla was thrown to the floor, momentarily disoriented. She heard Eli's voice, calm but urgent. "Kayla, hold on. I've got you." He reached her quickly, pulling her to her feet and guiding her to safety. The simple act, repeated countless times in small ways throughout their missions, now carried a profound significance. Eli's presence was a shield both physically and mentally, against the chaos surrounding them. Finally, they reached the engine room, where the main power core was under attack by a specialized enemy drone. Kayla assessed the situation, ready to charge in, but Eli stopped her. "We do this together. Follow my lead." He moved with precision, coordinating their actions. Kayla mirrored his movements, striking at weak points while he controlled the environment. Their combined efforts disabled the drone and stabilized the power core. Exhausted, they leaned against the walls of the engine room. Kayla's mind raced, not from fear but from admiration. This human had earned her complete trust through action, courage, and intelligence. Her dread of letting a human influence her had evaporated, replaced by recognition of his capabilities and the realization that she had underestimated humans all along. The battle eventually ended, the attackers retreating into space. The crew celebrated, but Kayla barely noticed. She was focused on Eli, who quietly checked on every system, every crew member, ensuring nothing was overlooked. His attention to detail, combined with his unwavering courage, left her in awe. Later, as the ship drifted through the quiet of space, Kayla found herself once again on the observation deck, staring at the stars. Eli joined her, silent, allowing her the peace of the moment. She reflected on everything that had happened, the missions, the battles, the moments when his presence had been the difference between life and death. For the first time, Kayla questioned her people's teachings about humans. They were not reckless or inferior. Eli had shown her that humans could possess qualities equal to, or even surpassing, those of her own kind: courage, intelligence, adaptability, and integrity. Her initial dread had been born from fear, not reality. Eli glanced at her and smiled faintly. "You're quiet tonight," he said. Kayla nodded. Words were not necessary to convey the depth of her thoughts. She had learned more about trust, partnership, and courage in these past missions than she had in years of isolation. As the ship continued its journey, Kayla realized something profound. Her bond with Eli was no longer about survival. It was about respect, understanding, and a shared commitment to face whatever dangers the galaxy might present. She had once dreaded allowing a human to influence her life, but now she welcomed it, knowing that this partnership could shape not only her destiny, but perhaps the future of humans and her people alike. For hours, they stood side by side watching the stars drift by. Kayla felt a sense of hope she had not experienced in a long time. The human soldier beside her had changed everything. Her perspective on humans, her understanding of trust, and even her vision of what the future could hold. She knew that with Eli she was no longer alone, and the galaxy, no matter how dangerous, seemed just a little more navigable. The next day, their mission continued with renewed determination. Kayla and Eli worked seamlessly, each action informed by the trust and understanding they had built during the battle. Enemy encounters, technical challenges, and environmental hazards were no longer sources of dread. They were opportunities to demonstrate their growing partnership. During a quiet moment between missions, Kayla approached Eli. "I never imagined humans could be like you," she said quietly. Eli looked at her, expression calm but thoughtful. "Not all humans are the same," he replied. "Some are reckless, yes, but some are willing to learn, to adapt, and to act with honor." Kayla nodded, realizing that he was describing himself as much as he was explaining humans in general. Their journey continued, and Kayla found herself relying on Eli more than ever, not just for protection, but for guidance, strategy, and companionship. Her initial fear and dread had been replaced by respect and admiration. She no longer saw humans as a threat, but as partners capable of courage and brilliance. As the stars stretched endlessly before them, Kayla understood that her journey with humans and with Eli was only beginning. The battles, the missions, and the challenges yet to come would test them further, but she was ready. With trust forged in battle and respect earned through action, she knew that she and the human soldier could face anything together, and for the first time in her life, Kayla felt something she had never allowed herself to feel: hope. Hope that humans could be allies, friends, and even equals. Hope that her initial dread had not been the end of her story, but the start of a new chapter, one written alongside a human soldier who had already changed her life forever. The ship had been traveling through uncharted space for days, the hum of its engines a constant background to Kayla's thoughts. After the recent battle, she had felt a shift within herself. Her dread of humans, especially Eli, had long since faded. In its place was a growing admiration and trust, an understanding that some humans could rise above expectations, showing courage, intelligence, and honor that rivaled her own people's finest warriors. The latest mission took them to a planet of dense jungles and unpredictable weather. Reports suggested a rare artifact was hidden there, one that could provide critical intelligence about a rival faction. The terrain was treacherous, but Kayla felt calm for the first time. Eli had become her anchor, and together they had faced far worse. "Ready?" Eli asked as they suited up, checking their gear meticulously. Kayla nodded, adjusting her armor. She realized that she looked forward to his presence now, not out of dependence, but because she respected him. He wasn't just a soldier. He was a partner, a strategist, and in many ways her equal. They landed on the planet's surface, the shuttle touching down gently on a clearing surrounded by towering trees. The air was thick and humid, filled with the calls of unseen creatures. Kayla led the way, scanning for threats while Eli followed closely, his attention divided between her and their surroundings. As they ventured deeper into the jungle, the ground beneath them became uneven, tangled with roots and vines. Strange luminescent plants illuminated their path, casting eerie glows on their armor. Kayla felt a thrill. This was exactly the kind of mission that tested both skill and wit. Suddenly, a massive creature lunged from the undergrowth. Its multiple eyes glowed red and its claws gleamed in the dim light. Kayla moved instinctively, drawing her weapon, but Eli was already beside her, guiding her movements. "Left, its right flank is exposed," he shouted. Kayla adjusted mid-strike, her actions synchronized with his. Together they subdued the creature efficiently, their coordination flawless. After the encounter, they paused to catch their breath. Kayla studied Eli, noting how calm and composed he remained even in danger. "You never panic," she said, her voice quieter than usual. Eli shook his head. "Panic doesn't help. Observation and action do. You've taught me a lot too, Kayla. I wouldn't be as effective without your instincts." For a moment, silence fell between them, filled only by the rustling of leaves and distant animal calls. Kayla realized she was smiling. She had once dreaded being near a human, fearing their recklessness and unpredictability. But Eli had shown her that humans could be brave, intelligent, and trustworthy. He had challenged every assumption she had ever held. Their path led them to an ancient temple, partially hidden by vines and roots. The artifact was rumored to be inside, guarded by traps designed to deter intruders. Kayla's heart quickened. These kinds of challenges were familiar to her, yet facing them alongside a human added a new dimension of excitement and trust. The temple's entrance was narrow, and Eli motioned for Kayla to go first. She hesitated, then remembered all he had done, the battles, the missions, the countless times he had saved her. With a nod, she stepped inside. The temple was dark, the walls etched with symbols from a long-lost civilization. Kayla's eyes adjusted quickly, and she noticed the faint hum of the artifact's energy ahead. Suddenly, the floor beneath them shifted. A trap. Kayla's instincts kicked in, but Eli was already reacting. "Jump to the left," he commanded, pointing to a safe ledge. Kayla leapt just in time, and Eli followed, landing gracefully beside her. They paused to assess the next section, their movements coordinated, their trust in each other implicit. Inside the inner chamber, the artifact glowed softly on a pedestal. As they approached, motion sensors triggered a defensive system. Energy beams crisscrossed the room, threatening to cut through anything in their path. Kayla's first instinct was to leap and dodge, but Eli analyzed the pattern quickly. "Follow me." "Step on my marks," he instructed. Kayla obeyed, her confidence in him absolute. Together, they navigated the beams flawlessly and reached the pedestal. Kayla carefully examined the artifact, noting its advanced technology and potential significance. Eli stood beside her, silent, allowing her to take the lead. She realized that this was more than just a mission. They were learning to trust each other completely, balancing instinct with strategy, bravery with caution. When they secured the artifact and returned to the shuttle, Kayla felt a sense of accomplishment, not only for the mission but for the bond they had forged. Eli's presence had transformed every challenge into a shared victory. She had once feared letting a human influence her life, but now she could not imagine facing the galaxy without him. Back on the ship, Kayla and Eli reviewed the mission data. Kayla found herself explaining her observations and thoughts freely, without hesitation or reservation. Eli listened attentively, offering insights of his own, never dismissing her perspective. For the first time in her life, Kayla felt equal partnership with another being, one that transcended species, culture, and expectations. Later, she wandered to the observation deck alone. The stars stretched endlessly, sparkling with distant possibilities. Eli joined her, his presence quiet but comforting. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he said softly. Kayla nodded. "It is," she replied. She realized she had something she had never expected, a sense of hope and connection, forged not by duty or fear, but by trust and understanding. Eli glanced at her, sensing her thoughts. "You've changed," he said gently. Kayla turned to him, meeting his gaze. "I have," she admitted. "You've shown me that humans can be more than I ever imagined. You've shown me trust, courage, and honor, and you've taught me to see beyond fear." Eli smiled faintly. "And you've reminded me that strength comes in many forms. Kayla, we've both learned from each other." She nodded, realizing that their partnership had grown into something extraordinary, a bond that could face any challenge, no matter how dangerous. Over the following days, the crew continued their missions, but Kayla's perspective had shifted completely. Where she had once dreaded the presence of humans, she now valued it. She observed Eli with respect and curiosity, noticing the small details that revealed his intelligence, patience, and bravery. He was not just a soldier, he was a companion, a strategist, and most importantly, someone she trusted implicitly. During a routine patrol, they encountered a hostile alien faction attempting to intercept a supply convoy. Kayla and Eli coordinated the defense, moving as one. Every maneuver, every decision flowed seamlessly between them. The enemy was repelled with minimal damage thanks to their combined skill and trust. Kayla felt a deep sense of satisfaction. She had once feared humans, yet this human soldier had proven himself invaluable. That evening, Kayla and Eli stood together on the observation deck, watching distant stars flicker through the void. Silence stretched between them, comfortable and unforced. Kayla realized that her initial dread had not only disappeared, It had been replaced by admiration, respect, and perhaps the beginnings of a deeper connection. "You've changed the way I see humans," Kayla said quietly. Eli glanced at her, his expression thoughtful. "And you've changed the way I see partnership," he replied. "Trust, courage, respect, they aren't limited by species." Kayla nodded, a small smile forming on her lips. The ship continued its journey through the galaxy, and Kayla felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew that challenges awaited, but she also knew that she would not face them alone. Eli's presence, his calm courage and intelligence had become a part of her strength. The partnership they had built was more than survival. It was a mutual understanding that transcended fear and prejudice. As the stars stretched endlessly before them, Kayla realized that her life had been forever changed. The dread she once felt toward humans had been replaced by trust, respect, and admiration. She had learned that courage and honor could be found in unexpected places, and that true partnership could overcome even the greatest challenges. And as she stood beside Eli, watching the endless expanse of space, Kayla understood something profound. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and unpredictable. But with trust, courage, and partnership, even the most impossible journeys could be faced and perhaps even conquered. Kayla's journey had begun with fear, but it ended with understanding. She had once dreaded letting a human influence her life, yet she now realized that the soldier beside her had not only saved her life countless times, but had also shown her the strength, resilience, and potential of humanity. The partnership they had forged was unbreakable, and the future, no matter how uncertain, was one they would face together. For the first time in her life, Kayla felt not only hope, but certainty. She had met a human worthy of her trust, her respect, and perhaps one day even her friendship. The universe was vast, but with Eli by her side, she knew that no challenge was too great, no danger too deadly, and no distance too far. And as the stars continued to shine beyond the observation deck, Kayla and Eli stood together, ready to face whatever awaited them side by side. The soldier had proven himself, and in doing so had changed her life forever.